So, good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live today. So, I'm Joey from Sunway Cultural Exchange Student Life.
And hello, everyone. My name is Khalil. I'm currently a student in Sunway University pursuing a degree in business management.
So, let me just introduce to you about Sunway Cultural Exchange. We host short-term inbound and outbound program, but due to the pandemic and travel restriction, we have moved things online, where we bring the world closer to the Sunway community virtually. So this month on our social media, we are featuring Italy, a land where art and culture meet amazing food and wonderful nature. So we have collaborated with the Embassy of Italy in Kuala Lumpur, and today it is our honor to have an evening chat with our guest speaker. So let me just introduce a little bit about our guest speaker. He started his diplomatic career in 1989 and have served for the Italian Embassy in different locations across the globe. So let's welcome His Excellency Cristiano Maggipinto.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time from your schedule to chat with us, Ambassador Maggipinto.
Thank you.
So before starting our sharing session, I'd like to put out a notice/reminder that at any point of time you have a question in mind that you'd like Ambassador Maggipinto to answer, go ahead and just type it out in the chat box. There will be a Q&A session later in the end, and I'm sure Ambassador Maggipinto will be more than willing to bless us with his thoughts and insight. With that being said, Ambassador Maggipinto, allow me to dive into the first question, where I would like to direct the conversation to getting to know more about the life of an ambassador, which really is a prestigious accomplishment. And there could be someone among our audience here today who will want to become an ambassador one day. Who knows, right? Yeah. So just to get a little taste of how it's like, could you give a little glimpse into how your career journey as an ambassador has looked like over the years?
Yes. Of course, you have to take into account that every diplomatic system is different. There are different rules, there are different procedures, and so on. In my case, in the case of the Italian diplomatic system, we need, first of all, to take an exam, which is an exam at the national level, through which we, if we pass the exam, through which we join the diplomatic service. And then we start our career from the lowest level, I would say, which is the level of second or first secretary, and then you arrive at the level of the head of mission in a country, which is, of course, the top level that you can reach. In between, you alternate periods abroad and periods in Rome. I have had different periods abroad. I have started at the Italian Embassy in Tel Aviv, to move then at the Italian Embassy in Bonn and then Berlin. After that, I've been in Rome, then Consul General in Houston, Texas. Then I have been posted in Washington, D.C. at the embassy. Back to Rome, dealing with the development cooperation and specifically with Expo Milan 2015. And finally, I have been appointed in 2017 as ambassador to Malaysia. So this is more or less the development of a typical or more or less typical Italian diplomatic career, in which you hold different postings and different positions in Rome and in different countries.
From what I understand, it has been a very long and, of course, enjoyable journey, traveling to a lot of countries. So along this journey, actually, what do you think are some important qualities that have helped you become the ambassador you are today?
I think that in our career, in general, we need to have two main qualities, which are of course connected. And one is the capability to observe things. And the second one is the capability to listen. Because when you are in a country which is different from your own country, you have to try, first of all, to understand that country. And in order to understand that country, you need, first of all, to know the history of that country. So you need to have a preparation. You have to read. You have to inform yourself about the history, the economy, the culture, and so on. But that is just I would say, a preliminary thing, because one thing is to read in a book the history, the culture, the economy of a country. And another thing is to experience that history, that culture, that economy live when you are in the country. So from that point of view, you need to have to develop good capabilities of observation and good capability of listening. And you have to observe and to listen to all your interlocutors, because a country, of course, is a complex organism, a complex structure. And so you need to have the possibility and the capability to listen to everybody and to observe everybody, the different situation, the different institutions, the culture, the civil society, what we call the civil society, and so on.
So as the saying goes, experience is the best teacher, right?
Absolutely. Experience is also one of the best teachers. It's not the only one, but it is an essential part. Absolutely.
Understood. Thank you for that. So just to dive into a more specific level, could you describe your day-to-day schedule as an ambassador?
Yes, on an average, I come every day to office at 9, and I leave office depending at around 6:30, 7, with an interval of 1 hour for lunch. What I do, of course, when you are in an embassy, you have to deal with the different sections. So there can be political matters, there can be cultural matters, there can be consular matters, very, very important. There can be cultural matters. So you have, every day you deal more or less with all the aspects of the activity of a diplomatic mission as head of a mission. So you have to talk with your collaborators. I have, of course, very often meetings with Malaysian institutions. Of course, first of all, the Malaysian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but it can be economic ministries and economic institutions. It can be organizations of the civil society, can be cultural institutions, universities, as in your case, and so on. So it's a mixture of office work, of course, reading papers, signing papers, and contacts with collaborators and contacts with external interlocutors too.
All right. As mentioned, it encompasses of quite a lot of things, quite a lot of aspects. So just to ask about the role of Embassy of Italy here in Kuala Lumpur, towards the Italian community here, as well as towards the Malaysian community. So what's the role actually?
Yes. No, as I was saying before, the role of an embassy is I would say, all-encompassing role, in the sense that an embassy has, first of all, the task to maintain and develop the political relations between two countries, between Italy and Malaysia in this case, and this is through contacts with Malaysian government, Malaysian institution, and so on, and to develop these contacts at every level. At the political level, at the economic level, at the cultural level, at the trade level, and so on. You know, there are nowadays an embassy is and the diplomat is supposed to try to know as much as possible about as much as possible in order to do his or her job. Of course, you have to deal, as you mentioned, with the consular matters, which are matters which concerns, first of all, Italian nationals in Malaysia, and this can be whatever. It can be from the issuing of documents like passports, notary documents, other kind of documents. It can be sometimes economic assistance too for Italian nationals. It can be assistance to repatriate Italian nationals. So, for example, you can imagine in the last 18 months, because of the pandemic, the assistance to Italian national has become very, very. It's always important, but the role of this part of the work is increased, of course, inevitably, because there have been many different situations that has been caused by the pandemic for Italian national as individuals, but also for Italian companies, which needed permissions to work, were considered among the essential services, and so on. So a wide range of activities, and of course also for Malaysian citizens, because, for example, there are Malaysian students who would like to go to study in Italy, so they need visas in order to go to study in Italy, and we provide the visas. They need, for example, also to go to study in Italy other documents which we call the declaration of values, in the sense that we have to certify that they have, as a matter of fact, studied at some way university, and that the classes that they have followed at some way universities corresponds to certain classes in Italy, and they are at a certain level of their studies, and so on. So these are just example of what we do for the Italian and for the Malaysian community. You have to take into account that the Italian community in Malaysia is an increasing community. We have around 1,100 Italians living in Malaysia, most part of them in different kind of economic and business activities. So they have an important role, an essential role, I would say, in promoting economic, trade, and investment relations between Italy and Malaysia.
I see. Okay, so because of the pandemic currently, so we'd like to know about the situation of the embassy, like what are the initiatives for the embassy to move forward during the normal?
Of course, you know, the pandemic, as for everybody, has caused a lot of changes in the activity of the embassy. First of all, we of course take care of respecting very strictly the SOPs which have been decided and enforced by the Malaysian government. So, for example, we are in a situation in which we work through shifts. So there is not all the employees of the embassy are present at the same time, but they are present in alternate days. So there is a team A and a team B. The team A is, for example, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the team B is Tuesday and Thursday. And vice versa the following week. Of course, we had to reduce the appointments with our audience, the Italian and the Malaysian communities, which has been restricted to cases of emergency and urgency. At the same time, of course, the most part of the meetings, I would say now 99.9% of the meetings are held online, are virtual meeting via Zoom, WebEx, and other informatic platforms like we are doing today. Also, the cultural events, for example, are being held online. We have held online our National Day. On the 2nd of June is the Italian National Day, which celebrates the foundation of Italian Republic in 1946, on the 2nd of June 1946. And last year, like this year, the Italian National Day has been held online with videos, speeches, and so on. And we are holding online a lot of cultural events. For example, just to mention one, during these days, if you go on the website, on the Facebook page of the embassy, you will see that we are promoting an event which is called Italian Summer, which is a series of concerts, shows, performances, and so on, which have started at the beginning of July and will end in September, that can be viewed by everybody here in Malaysia. Another important event that we have held online has been what we have called the Progetto Fragilità, Project Fragility. It has been an online exhibition which is which can still be viewed, and maybe Eliana can send you the link to this exhibition so that you can promote it through the students of Samway University, which has seen 4 Italian artists and 4 Malaysian artists to present works that are dedicated to the theme of fragility, considering that, of course, each one of us in time of pandemics feel more fragile than usual. So we have decided to dedicate this cultural event to a very to the context, the cultural context in which we are living. We are also realizing a second phase of this project that will be dedicated to sustainability. And sustainability is very important because, as you know, Italy is this year a co-partner in the presidency of COP26 together with the United Kingdom. And 2 of the main events, the pre-COP and the Youth for Climate, where there will be also Malaysian participation, will be held in Milan at the end of September. So we would like to launch a competition on design, and this is particularly important for Samway University because we are thinking of involving among the universities also Samway universities. So you will know more about this in the next few weeks.
That's good. Khalil is all excited, is it?
On that note as well, Ambassador Maggipinto, you mentioned that now because of the pandemic, yes, transition into a 99.9% virtual environment of meetings, for example. Yes. So I think I can speak on behalf of students like me. We tend to prefer face-to-face classes over than virtual classes because I feel personally where there's a lack of interpersonal feelings of connection in virtual meetings. So in your context of situation, is it the same thing, or possibly have there been any hardships or even possibly benefits that have been faced from this transition into a virtual environment?
Yes, I would say that I completely agree with you. You were saying that classes live are much better than classes online because the interchange is different. I can guarantee you that also meetings in person are much better than meetings online, because the interchange that you have online, especially in a job like the job that we do as diplomats, and especially when we have to deal with certain delicate subjects or matter that happen in our job, is much better in presence, because you have a better feeling, I would say, also of what we call the non-verbal communication, which is something that on a webinar, on a conversation like this one, you lose, because you don't have a perfect image, I would say, of the attitude, of the feeling of your interlocutor. So for sure, I think we are all looking forward to go back as soon as possible to meeting online. Of course, you know, there are certain things, certain meetings that we can avoid to have in presence, because, you know, before the pandemic, we used to travel from one part of the world to another part of the world very easily, and maybe many of these travels are really not necessary, but some of them are absolutely necessary, and we have to do it. So for sure, we look forward to go back to have meetings in presence, to enjoy, I would say, each other companies, also in matter of works.
Yeah, like the non-verbal cues, for example, like on top, I'm wearing formal attire, but below the camera, I could be wearing shorts and all. You never know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So maybe right now we'll move on to the next section. So
Yes.
to ask the ambassador about the cultural aspect of both Malaysia and Italy. So perhaps the ambassador could share a little bit about your experiences about these two countries. So Khalil, any question that you want to ask?
Yeah, I think one thing is I watched a segment of you giving your thoughts on Malaysian painter Ali Nur Azmal's work, and you
Sorry, on
emphasize
Malaysian?
the Malaysian painter Ali Nur
Okay.
Azmal. Yes. So in that video, you emphasize the importance of different points of views or cultures merging together. For
Yes.
example, Ali Nur Azmal's work, which took inspiration from the famous Italian painter, excuse my pronunciation, Caravaggio.
Yes, yes, yes.
So going beyond paintings, what are some things you have found common between Malaysia and Italy?
You know, I would say that there are many things in common between Malaysia and Italy. And first of all, I always say that the first similarity between Italy and Malaysia is their geographic position. Of course, we are in different parts of the world, but both Italy and Malaysia are peninsulas. They have you know, they go into the sea. They are long peninsula, going into the sea, we into the Mediterranean, and Malaysia into South China Sea. So it's from this point of view, we are both countries for which the sea is essential. And this is a first common meaning. What does that mean? That sea is essential. It means that trade and contacts with other countries is essential. We are both countries that since the beginning of our history have been used to trade with other countries in the Mediterranean, here in the Indian Ocean, in the South China Sea, and so on. And this inevitably brings us to be in country which necessarily have to have contact with other countries, because trade at the end is a form of communication, is a form of contact. You cannot, it implies inevitably forms of communication and of contact, and which this is, first of all, a striking similarity. This means, of course, also another thing, that both Italy and Malaysia have absorbed many different cultural traditions. Italy, of course, has absorbed the tradition coming from Southern Europe and the one coming from Northern Europe. And so Italian culture is a culture that has been shaped by the fact that Romans were in contact with the Greek, but were in contact with the Phoenicians, were in contact while in northern Italy, was in contact more with the northern region of Europe, so the Germans, France, and so on. So inevitably, all this has created a distinctive culture, but also differences according to the parts of Italy in which you are and in which you go. So, of course, southern Italy is culturally different from northern Italy. Of course, there are many traits in common, but at the same time, there are many differences. The same is true for Malaysia, for example, in the sense that if you go to Kelantan and Terengganu, you notice that the people, the culture, the tradition are different from the people, the culture, and the tradition of Johor or Selangor, because they have been exposed also to other different cultural traditions. So both our societies, I would say, are a mix. But you know, I noticed also a lot of similarities from the economic point of view, in the sense that both Malaysia and Malaysian and Italian economy are based very much on small and medium-sized companies and are manufacturing economies. This is true in Italy, it's true here, which is one of the reasons for which at the end there is a lot of trade between it and a lot of collaboration between Italy and Malaysia. And this is, of course, something that has been determined by more recent events and more recent facts, but it is another similarity. And I have to say that, of course, we have another important similarity that an Italian cannot miss to notice, and it is the importance that in both countries food has. Food is important in Malaysia, and food is important in Italy, and that is really a big, an important similarity. We are both very passionate about our food.
That's a nice transition into my next question, actually, because we'll be diving into the specific cultural aspect of food, which I know, and from what you said, Malaysians and Italians take huge pride in our food. So with that being said, what are your thoughts on Italian food in Malaysia? For example, like in a lot of countries as well, Malaysia is familiar with having pineapples on pizza. But correct me if I'm wrong, that's not something normal in Italy. But of course, correct me if I'm wrong. So regarding that example, what are your thoughts on Italian food in Malaysia?
You are right. You are right about the pineapple and pizza. I want to say, I need to say that in general, Italian food in Malaysia is quite good, in the sense that in Malaysia, there are many Italian chefs and many authentic Italian restaurants which prepare good Italian food. In Kuala Lumpur as in other cities of Malaysia. So there is Malaysians people appreciate authentic Italian food. And so there is, in general, I have found a lot of respect for Italian food and for the fact that Italian food should be prepared according to certain criteria and certain rules. So I would say that in general, yes, Malaysians are passionate also about this, about Italian food, which is good because Italian products are also Italian food products are increasingly successful in Malaysia, but at the same time, Malaysia would like to try to taste the real Italian food, and they can do it in many places in Kuala Lumpur and in other parts of the country.
Maybe perhaps, yeah. Very good to hear. And maybe perhaps to help me and Miss Joey possibly, or even everybody else here. On the top of your head, is there a recommendation of an Italian restaurant that we should go to?
I cannot name names because otherwise my fellow Italian nationals will say, but you mentioned that and you didn't mention, which is right, because I would say there are a lot of authentic Italian restaurants with authentic Italian chefs in Malaysia. And of course, they propose different kind of Italian gastronomy because, like in Malaysia, also Italian cuisine is very different according to the regions, to the areas in which the chefs come from. So you should try all of them in order to have the possibility to create your own judgment about what you like more and what you like less, because at the end it's always that, I have some favorite Malaysian dishes and others have different favorite Malaysian dishes. Of course, that becomes a matter of personal taste.
I guess we have to try
and
it out
I
to see
wanted,
which one.
to add something to the previous question that is always something, the similarities and the differences between Italy and Malaysia. And the difference that I always point out is the fact that is nature in Malaysia, because for someone who comes from Italy or from Europe in general, to see such explosion, I would say, of nature, trees, forests, jungle, animals, and so on, plants, is really something incredible that we do not have in Italy. We have a different kind of nature. I would say a nature which is probably a little bit more subdued, beautiful, equally beautiful, but at the same time more subdued. Here, really, you notice the presence of nature everywhere, and of course it's extraordinary when you are in certain areas of this city that you can see what we consider wild animals crossing the street without any problem, and the cars stopping in order to make monkeys or monitor lizards pass, because there is a part of jungle right in the city, and this is a striking thing, and this is something, in my opinion, that you need to keep and you need to preserve. It's absolutely essential, because you have such an extraordinary natural world, both in terms of plants, that animal, that really needs to be kept and protected as much as possible.
All right. So one more question, actually, Ambassador. During your years here in Malaysia, is there anything interesting or surprising other than the animals that you have came across here?
not only the nature, of course, but also the culture. I have visited, I have to say, a great part of Malaysia. Practically, I think I have been at this point, of course, not in the last year and a half, but I have been in practically all the states of Malaysia. And what I notice always is the big diversity that there is between the different states, not only between, of course, the peninsular states and the Borneo states, but also among the different states in peninsular Malaysia. And what I would say is something that I've always noticed everywhere is the kindness of the people, in the sense that Malaysia are always, everywhere, very kind people. They are interested in you. They are always asking you questions and so on, but because they want to know more about you, because they are interested in what they are doing. And that, in my opinion, is a great quality. That is a great quality, because it means really that there is a capability to try, not only a capability, but a will to try to get in contact with other people. And this is very important, I would say. A great quality.
All right, great to hear that Malaysia has good impression and the people here are very friendly. All right.
Yes, very friendly.
That's good to hear. Right now, maybe we'll move on to the Q&A section.
Okay.
So we do have one question here. I'll just pull it up. So from Sandra, what was your first impression of Malaysia prior to taking on your role as ambassador to Malaysia? And how has that changed thus far?
You know, of course, we know Malaysia in Italy, in the sense that you know that there is an Italian author whose name is Emilio Salgari, who at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, so in the 1890s, 1900s, 1910, wrote novels which are set in Malaysia, which are the novels dedicated to this Sarawatian prince, whose name is Sandokan. These novels are very popular in Italy. There has been also a movie made in the 70s taken out of this. So we Italian kids and we Italian boys, we grow up reading these novels. And of course, inevitably, Malaysia, in the people who have not been in Malaysia, is associated very much to this. So you form a certain idea of Malaysia. And of course, this certain idea of Malaysia is an idea of an exotic country, of a tropical country with a luxuriant nature and so on. And from this point of view, of course, your impression is similar to the impression that the books gives you. But when you arrive in Malaysia, you notice, first of all, that you are in a very developed country with a very high level of infrastructure, in which everybody speaks English, an open country to trade and investments, which with tall buildings, and among them, you know, of course, the Petronas Towers, you can say, are among the most beautiful buildings and the most recognizable, I would say, buildings in the world, with so friendly people, as we were saying before. So I think that when you are in this country, the impression that you have and what you learn and what you start to know about Malaysia is you are surprised, as you were saying before, you are surprised and in a very positive way, in the sense that you understand the level of development from every point of view that this country has been able to reach after the independence.
All right. So thank you, Ambassador, for answering Sandra's question. We do actually have another one. So, Khalil, do you want to ask this one?
Yeah. So for this question from one of our viewers, what do you think about the Malaysian version of carbonara?
No, I don't know exactly to which version you are referring, but probably you are referring to a version of carbonara which are vegetarian. You know, I can tell you that even in Italy, I eat a version of carbonara which is vegetarian. So the important thing is that it's done in the right way. And you know, carbonara is one of the most difficult things to do because you are not supposed to put cream in it. It's just the eggs and the cheese. That is the essential part. As far as that part has been respected, then I think you can make different version of carbonara, but you need to respect, in order to make a real Italian carbonara, the fact that there should be no cream, but only eggs and Parmesan or Pecorino cheese, according to the different version, because also in Italy, you know, there are different versions.
Okay, we actually have one more question here. So, what is your favorite Malaysian food?
So, you know, my favorite, I have different favorite Malaysian food. First of all, and probably because it has been the one that I have eaten before, and I like very much laksa johor. I have tried it in the first months that I have been here, and I've always liked it. I like the beef rendang, for example, and in general the rendang sauce. I like it very much. Of course, I eat very much fish, so I like every kind of fish, shrimps, and all the kind of fish in the way in which you prepare. I like curry too. So I have to say I eat more or less all kind of Malaysian food. I eat the Chinese food, the Indian food, the Malay food, all kind of food. It's good for me. I tend to try as much as possible. The Nyonya food, of course, also very good in Malacca or in Penang.
Yes, absolutely. We actually have one more question. So, Khalil, just a minute. Yeah.
So this is a question from May. Were there any cultural differences between Malaysia and Italy that shocked you, or perhaps you found difficult to comprehend?
You know, I have to admit that I can answer no to this question. There is nothing that shocked me or that I found at the end difficult to comprehend, to understand. No, I think that, no, I wouldn't say so. I think that at the end we Italians and Malaysians can understand each other quite well. That has always been my impression. I have to say, and I always say this to my Malaysian friends, you know, of course, I was coming from Italy. It's thousands of kilometers away, completely different world. But I had in Malaysia a very soft landing, in the sense that I immediately had the possibility to meet people and so on. And I think that probably one of the reasons of this is that the nature of the Malaysian people, the fact that, as we were saying, they are so friendly, they put you immediately at ease. So you are not shocked by anything. They do their best in order to put you at ease.
That's very nice to hear. Thank you for that.
Okay, so we actually have one more question. Ambassador, is it okay? Yeah?
Yes, yes.
So what is the most interesting cultural stigma in Italy that we aren't aware?
Which is the most important, cultural character, Italian cultural characteristic. I think of which Malaysians are not aware of. This is the question, no?
Yep.
Yep.
No, I think that probably the Malaysians should look at Italy as a country very, very as diverse as Malaysia is. Italy is a country which has some common traits, but there's also important differences between southern Italy, central Italy, northern Italy, the highlands, and so on. Probably, and this is probably something that we tend to do in general, we tend to consider countries as a uniform and compact entity. They are not. We should learn how to appreciate the differences inside countries. That's always very important.
Yes, that's good to hear that the diversity in Italy as well that we have to be aware of.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the last question that we are taking in. So this would be the end of our live event today.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and thank you for being here, Ambassador Maggipinto. It's a pleasure to have you here to chat with us. And also,
thank you.
Yeah, for students who are interested to know more about the Italian culture, please follow the Embassy of Italy in Kuala Lumpur social media to find out more. Yeah. Like the ambassador mentioned about the summer festival, you can find out more from there as well. And once again, we'd like to thank the embassy for the collaboration and appreciate Ambassador Maggipinto's time for being here with us. So thank you, grazie mille, and thank you everyone.
Terima kasih.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, grazie. All right, so take care everyone. This will be the end. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.